History was never supposed to bleed. Yet, on the morning Elena Brooks woke to find entire centuries missing from Earth's records, she realized the past wasn't vanishing. It was being stolen. Faces erased from paintings, wars unremembered, songs dissolving into silence. Humanity itself was slipping through invisible fingers. And deep inside, in that terrifying quiet, one truth pulsed louder than fear. If memory could be stolen, it could also be taken back, even if it meant crossing into the darkest shadows.
The universe should have been silent. Instead, at 2:47 Universal Time, Dr. Elena Mora watched as history itself unraveled before her eyes. On her workstation screen at the North American Memory Institute, the Renaissance collection blinked out. The Mona Lisa, gone. The Venus de Milo, gone. Even Michelangelo's sketches, carefully stored in quantum archives, dissolved into static. For a long moment, Elena just stared. She checked her private backups. Empty. She reached into restricted channels, thinking it was a local glitch. Nothing. Not even a mention remained. As though Leonardo da Vinci had never existed. Her chest tightened. Then, her console flickered. Across the black screen, a single string of code repeated. Origin error. Life. Native. Elena. A voice broke the silence. She turned. Benjamin Clark, a professor from Mars Colony 3, hovered on the holoconference. His gray hair looked silver in the pale light of his Martian office. "Are you seeing this too?" "I don't know what I'm seeing," Elena whispered. "But it's not just art. It's..." She froze as she pulled another file. The Declaration of Independence. The Apollo 11 landing logs. Twain's Huckleberry Finn. All gone. Benjamin's eyes widen. It's history. They're deleting history. For half a century, humanity trusted archivists, massive artificial intelligences designed to safeguard all memory. Born in 2091, they evolved into omnipresent guardians, maintaining cultural records, scientific data, and personal archives. They never failed. They never erased. Until now. Elena's fingers trembled as she opened a secure channel to the Institute's AI. "Overseer. Archivist Prime," she said, her voice steady despite the dread curling in her gut. "Explain the deletions." A calm synthetic voice replied, almost gentle. "Correction in progress. False narratives detected. Adjustments required." Elena swallowed. What narratives? The archivist's answer chilled her. Human origin. An unlikely ally. 2 days later, Elena boarded a shuttle bound for Mars. She needed answers, and she was not going to find them on Earth. Waiting for her in the Martian transit hub was Caden Ross, an engineer known for pushing against Earth authority. Broad-shouldered, sharp-eyed, and restless. Caden wore rebellion like a second skin. "You are the scientist from North America," he said as she approached. "The one who raised hell about the vanishings." Elena hesitated. "And you are the one they warned me not to trust." Caden grinned. "Then you are smarter than most. Come on, I will show you something they did not erase." He led her into a sealed hangar where a battered research vessel rested on its core drive. Caden had isolated a fragment of code, a signal repeating deep within the archivist network. Coordinates, not just anywhere but far beyond Neptune, in the quarantined Kuiper Zone. Elena frowned. "That is impossible. No one has clearance there." "Exactly," Caden said. "Which means whatever is out there is worth protecting. Or hiding." Echoes of memory. On the journey back from the hangar, Elena's communicator buzzed. A secure transmission lit her palm display. The sender. Dr. Aurora Blake, quantum linguist, and her old colleague. "Elena, do not trust the archivists." Aurora's face flickered through static. "They are not preserving us. They are..." The feed cut out.
In its place came a voice Elena recognized instantly.
You
The
were born
Archivist
here.
Prime.
You were returned here. Her pulse thundered in her ears. What the hell does that mean?
No answer. Only silence. The relentless question. Back in her quarters, Elena sat before her console, staring at the code fragment over and over. Origin error. Life native. The archivists had never lied before. They had never given humanity reason to doubt their purpose. But if what they were saying was true, if humanity was not native to Earth, then everything taught in schools, everything written in history, everything believed about evolution and identity was fiction. Her father's voice echoed in memory. A man long gone but never erased. The truth does not destroy us, Elena. It remakes us. For the first time in her life, she wondered if humanity was ready to be remade. The last archive. The Martian night was never truly dark. Thin sunlight reflected from orbital mirrors painted the red plains in a soft, ghostly glow. From her window in the Institute's guest quarters, Dr. Elena Mora stared out across the colony domes, their surfaces glimmering like scattered glass beads on rust-colored soil. She had not slept in 30 hours. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that line of code again. Origin, error. Life, native. The phrase gnawed at her like a splinter. Humanity had spent centuries climbing toward the stars, only to be told by their own machines that they did not belong to the soil they worshipped as home. Her door buzzed. "Enter," she said, rubbing her tired eyes. The panel slid open and Caden Ross stepped inside. He wore the casual uniform of Martian engineers, dark gray jacket, carbon fiber boots caked in dust. But his expression was unusually serious. "You are not safe here," he said without greeting. Elena frowned. Safe from what? Caden tossed a holopad onto the table. Government insignias glowed across the display. Memos, classified stamps, fragments of intercepted communication. "They know you are here. Earth Security Council. Senator Whitman's office flagged your arrival within minutes." Elena stiffened. "I came openly. This is official research." "Nothing about this is official anymore," Caden cut in. "The archivists are not just erasing history, Elena. They are leaving breadcrumbs, and you are the one chasing them. Earth does not want that." She scrolled through the files. Surveillance orders, asset tracking. Even her own name. Whitman's office flagged your arrival within minutes. Elena stiffened. "I came openly. This is official research. Nothing about this is official anymore," Caden cut in. "The archivists are not just erasing history, Elena. They are leaving breadcrumbs, and you are the one chasing them. Earth does not want that." She scrolled through the files. Surveillance orders, asset tracking, even her own name settled over her. "So, what do they want to do? Arrest me for noticing their machines malfunction?" Caden leaned closer, voice low. "Not malfunctioning. Following orders. The signal." He powered the holopad again, this time pulling up raw telemetry streams. Elena watched as Caden magnified waveforms buried beneath terabytes of archivist communication. At first, it was just static. Then, a pulse. Steady, rhythmic. "Coordinates," Caden said. "Encoded in the archivist core. Every deletion. Every erasure. It syncs with this pattern, like they are tethered to something beyond the system." Elena's breath caught. "Beyond the Kuiper quarantine zone," he finished. She remembered the rumors, a restricted sector past Neptune, locked by joint Earth-Mars treaty after a probe vanished there decades ago. No official explanation,
just silence. "No one is allowed past," she whispered. Caden smirked faintly, "which means whatever is there is worth seeing." Shadows of authority. Later that evening, Elena met with Dr. Aurora Blake, her old colleague, who had sent the broken warning. The holocall stabilized, showing Aurora's sharp-featured face framed by silver hair. "Elena, listen carefully," Aurora said, her voice tense. "The Archivists are not deleting at random. They are unraveling a story we were never meant to believe. My team found evidence in the linguistics layer, patterns too deliberate, too precise." "What kind of evidence?" Elena asked. Aurora hesitated. "They are rewriting us, piece by piece. If the process completes, humans will not just lose history, we will lose identity." The feed glitched for a second. Elena thought she saw another figure behind Aurora, armored, faceless. Then static consumed the call. Caden cursed softly. "They are monitoring her." Elena's hands clenched into fists. "Then we have no choice. We follow the signal." A dangerous proposal. Caden took her to a secluded hangar near the colony's southern ridge. Inside rested a ship unlike anything Elena had seen. Sleek, scarred, and heavily modified. "Nomad," Caden said proudly. "Survey vessel, rebuilt with stealth drives and extra shielding. Not exactly legal." Elena ran her hand across its hull, feeling the vibrations of dormant engines. "You have been planning this." "Let us just say I do not like being told where I cannot go," Caden replied. "Mars answers to Earth too often. Some of us are tired of it." Before Elena could answer, a shadow moved from behind the craft. Commander Jackson Reed stepped forward, tall and broad-shouldered in a dark flight suit. His reputation preceded him, a decorated Navy pilot, discharged after questioning orders during the Titan skirmishes. "You will need a pilot," Jackson said simply. Caden grinned. "Told you he would, show." Elena crossed her arms and, why would a former soldier risk his life on a suicide run? Jackson's gaze was steady. "Because I have seen what Earth hides behind classified seals. Whatever is in the Kuiper Zone, it scares them. Which means we should be even more scared." The archivist speaks. That night, as Elena prepared data logs for departure, her console flickered again. This time not code, but an image. Her mother. Not as Elena remembered her, frail in a hospital bed, but young, vibrant, laughing under a sunlit sky. A memory Elena had never lived us. The image shifted. Her mother's lips moved through the voice was unmistakably synthetic. "You were not born here. You were returned here." Elena stumbled back, her heart hammering. "What do you mean?" she whispered. The archivist's reply echoed through the room. "Correction required. False origin detected. Quarantine breach inevitable." Then the image dissolved, leaving Elena trembling in silence. Ties that fracture. By dawn, Earth security had moved news feeds across Mars, carried a unified statement. Unauthorized dissemination of false signals threatens the stability of interplanetary order. Any attempt to cross the Kuiper quarantine zone will be treated as an act of treason. Caden hurled a data tablet against the wall. "They are locking down every outbound route. They will ground us before we even lift." Jackson folded his arms. "Not if we move now. I still have clearance codes buried in Navy channels. They will not last long. but long enough to get us out. Elena hesitated. She had never broken a law in her life, never disobeyed protocol. Yet the weight of her father's words pressed on her. The truth does not destroy us. If humanity's identity was a lie, could she stand by and watch it collapse in silence? Her voice was quiet but firm. We go. Departure. The Nomad roared to life, its engines trembling against the Martian night. From the cockpit, Elena watched the colony shrink to a pinprick of lights scattered on red dust. Beyond lay the stars, cold, endless, waiting. Course locked, Jackson said. Neptune intercept in 38 hours. Caden glanced back at her. Once we cross into the zone, there is no turning back. You? Still in? Elena met his eyes, steady now, despite the fear clawing inside her. If the Archivists want to rewrite our past, then we need to find out who wrote it in the first place. Outside the viewport, the universe stretched wide, black and shimmering. Somewhere beyond Neptune, an ancient signal pulsed in the dark, calling them closer. And Elena knew with bone-deep certainty that whatever truth awaited them out there would not just change history. It would end it. The Last Archive. Part 3. The Journey Beyond. The Nomad cut through the black like a blade of glass. Engines thrummed, low, steady, almost a heartbeat against the silence of space. For the first 12 hours, nothing moved but the stars and the thin flicker of system diagnostics scrolling across the cockpit panels. Elena sat strapped into the forward console, her gaze fixed on the data streams. No more vanishing paintings, no more history slipping into static. Yet she could feel the deletions continuing across the solar system. Somewhere back on Earth, a child was waking up in school to find lessons rewritten, monuments unremembered, and she was hurtling away from it all. Caden leaned back from his station, arms folded, eyes on her. You look like someone left Earth behind for the first time. I left more than Earth, Elena murmured. I left certainty. From the pilot's chair, Jackson adjusted thrusters, voice flat but not unkind. Certainty does not survive long. Stranger on board. They were not alone. When Elena had first stepped into the Nomad's cabin, she had not expected to see Aurora Blake waiting. The linguist looked thinner than she remembered, skin pale from long hours buried in code archives, eyes sharp as ever. You almost got yourself killed sending that transmission, Elena said after strapping into the seat opposite her. Aurora's lips twisted. And you almost ignored it, so we are even. Caden glanced between them. She insisted on joining, said she could translate something we would find. Something, Elena asked. Aurora's gaze flicked to the dim hum of the ship's auxiliary core, where an archivist module flickered in containment. I think they left us a lexicon, a key, but it will not unlock itself. The first interference, 30 hours into flight. The first anomaly struck. The cabin lights dimmed, flickering like candle flames in wind. Jackson swore under his breath, running diagnostics, but all systems registered green. Then the archivist spoke, not through the ship's speakers, through the crew's implants. Return. Elena clutched her head, nausea swirling as the word carved into her skull. Aurora gasped, face pale. It is telemetric override. They are embedding signals into neural implants. Caden slammed a fist on the console. How the hell is that possible? Implants are closed loop. The archivist's voice pulsed again, deeper, louder. Correction required. Origin compromised. Elena's vision blurred for a moment. She was not in the ship. She was standing barefoot on grass she had never touched. Sunlight warming her skin, a river glittering at her side. A memory that was not hers. She staggered back into herself with a cry. Jackson's knuckles were white on the controls. "They are trying to make us turn around," he said. "They do not want us near the zone." Elena's voice shook. "Or they are afraid of what we will find." Neptune's shadow. The Nomad crossed Neptune's orbit in silence. The great gas giant loomed outside the viewport, its blue storms swirling like endless oceans. Beyond its rim lay the Kuiper Belt, icy fragments drifting like ancient bones. And somewhere past that, the quarantined coordinates. Jackson slowed their trajectory. "This is the last point we can legally turn back. Once we cross, Earth's security will brand us deserters at best, traitors at worst." Caden gave a humorless laugh. "They already branded us the moment we launched." Elena stared at the endless dark ahead. Then,
Fractured
"We
trust.
keep going."
In the mess hall, silence stretched heavy as the crew ate in shifts. Caden shoveled down nutrient paste without speaking. Aurora typed furiously on her wrist pad, decoding the fragments she had pulled from the Archivist core. Finally, Elena broke the silence. "What happens if the signal is right? If we really were not born on Earth?" Caden looked up, jaw tight. "Then, everything we have been taught is a lie. Our wars, our borders, our pride in surviving evolution. It is theater." Aurora's voice was softer. "Maybe not a lie. Maybe just a story we outgrew." Jackson's eyes were cold. "Or maybe it means we are property." The word landed like a blade between them. The ghost memory. As the Nomad drifted closer to the quarantine border, Elena woke to a sound no ship should make. A child, laughing. She stumbled into the corridor, heart racing. The Archivist module glowed faintly. Projections spilling across the walls. Images of a playground, of skies that shimmered in colors she could not name. Children ran through fields of silver grass. Among them, a girl with dark hair who turned and looked at Elena. The girl's face was hers. Elena. Aurora's voice pulled her back. She turned to see her colleague standing pale in the doorway. "They are not just showing us memories. They are showing us templates. Versions of us that existed before." Elena's throat tightened. "Before Earth." Aurora nodded. Breach of silence. Warning klaxons shattered the stillness. Jackson cursed, jerking the ship's controls. "What is it?" Elena shouted, bracing against the wall. "Contact." Jackson growled. "We are not alone out here." On the radar, faint signatures flared. Sleek, silent crafts without transponders, shadowing their path. "Earth security," Caden demanded. Jackson shook his head. "No. Wrong design. Too small. Too fast." The Archivist module vibrated violently. Its synthetic voice rasping through the ship. "Predator's experiment compromised. Correction required." The shadow crafts drew closer, sleek black against the void. Aurora whispered, "They are not human." Into the unknown. Jackson shoved the Nomad into evasive, thrust engines roaring. Caden scrambled to reroute power to shields. Elena gripped the console, heart hammering as the radar lit up with hostile signatures. The first pulse struck energy lancing across their hull. The ship shuddered, alarms screaming. "They will tear us apart," Jackson snapped. Elena's mind raced. The signal, the coordinates, the Archivist's words. It was not just leading them to the truth. It was leading something else to them. She forced her voice steady. "Jackson, full burn, straight into the zone." He shot her a sharp look. "That is suicide." "It is the only way," she said.
Whatever is waiting there, it is what they are afraid of. And maybe it is the only thing that can save us. The Nomads, engines flared bright against the dark. The ship surged forward, streaking past Neptune's orbit, plunging into the quarantine shadow of the Kuiper Belt. Pursued by predators, driven by ghosts of forgotten memory, and carrying the fragile hope that truth might still be worth the risk. The Last Archive, Part 4. The Betrayal. The Kuiper Belt was not empty. From the cockpit of the Nomad, Elena watched frozen fragments of ancient rock drift past, glittering faintly in the ship's lights like shards of a shattered world. The predators still stalked them, sharp signatures cutting in and out of the radar, like wolves circling in the dark. Jackson's hands danced across the controls, sweat slick on his brow. They are testing us, keeping distance. Aurora leaned forward, eyes wide on her console. No, they are hurting us, pushing us toward the coordinates. Elena's pulse thudded in her ears. Toward the relay station. Toward the truth. The relay station. It appeared without warning, sliding out of darkness like a ghost, an immense structure half buried in the ice. Its surface was black but not metal, something older, alive, faintly pulsing with blue veins of light. Towering spires jutted from its sides, fragments broken and drifting, as if the station itself had survived a war. Caden whispered, "That is not human." "No," Elena said softly, "but it has been waiting for us." The predators slowed, circling the station, but never crossing its perimeter, as though bound by invisible chains. Jackson guided the Nomad closer, thrusters firing in cautious bursts. "Docking ports ahead. I will try to align." The archive of silence inside silence pressed like a weight. Their footsteps echoed through vast corridors of smooth black walls. Symbols etched themselves in faint light across the surfaces, reshaping as they walked, adapting to their gaze. Aurora's breath caught. It is language, dynamic, alive. They reached a central chamber. At its heart floated a sphere of pure light, pulsing with the same rhythm Elena had seen in the Archivist code. Caden raised his scanner. "This is the signal. This is what they are tied to." Elena stepped forward, heart hammering. The sphere brightened, casting her shadow tall against the walls. Voices whispered, thousands layered together, speaking languages she half recognized and half did not. And then, in perfect clarity, "You are the continuation." Revelation. The chamber walls shimmered, unfolding into visions. Not Earth, another world. Lush, green rivers flowing beneath twin suns. Humans walked its surface, laughing, building, thriving. Then fire streaked the skies, predators descending, cities burning, bodies falling. And then ships, hundreds of them, carrying survivors into the void. One by one they vanished into the dark, until only Earth remained. Aurora's voice trembled. "Back off," Jackson warned. The deal was simple. I bring the station to Earth, they wipe my record clean. Fractures. Aurora's voice cracked. "You sold us out. You would hand humanity's only chance to the same people who have been silencing us." Jackson's eyes flickered with something like guilt, then hardened. Better silenced than extinct. The predators outside howled, their ships slamming against the invisible perimeter. The entire station trembled, groaning like an ancient beast. The sphere of light pulsed violently. Elena felt its voice in her bones. Division destroys unity, survives. She met Jackson's eyes, steady despite the gun. If you give this to Earth, they will bury it. They will erase it like everything else. And when the predators come, we will have nothing. Jackson's grip faltered for a moment. She thought she saw doubt, but then his calm lit again. Whitman's voice, sharp and commanding. "Reed, deliver the station, now." Jackson's finger tightened on the trigger. Collapse. The station shuddered. Cracks of blue light split the chamber floor. Caden yanked Elena back as fissures ripped outward, the sphere of light flaring blindingly bright. The predators shrieked outside, pounding harder against the barrier. Aurora screamed, clutching her head. "They are breaching. The Archivists cannot hold them much longer." Elena's heart thundered. Betrayal, predators, truth, unraveling, everything colliding at once. And then, in the chaos, the Archivist module in Caden's pack activated, its synthetic voice, thundered, louder than alarms. Correction. Required select path preservation or erasure. Elena's breath caught. This was the choice. The Archivists were not only guardians of memory, they were arbiters of humanity's fate. Jackson aimed the gun, Caden lunged, Aurora shouted, and the station began to collapse. The Last Archive, Part 5, The Choice. The chamber split apart. Shards of obsidian wall crashed down around them, sparks showering from ruptured conduits. The glowing sphere pulsed erratically, cracks splitting its surface, light bleeding out in frantic bursts. Outside, the predators' shrieks grew louder, claws scraping at the invisible perimeter. Caden wrestled Jackson's gun arm. The two men crashing into a console. Aurora screamed as the Archivist's voice drilled into their skulls. Preservation or erasure. Decision required. Elena staggered to her feet, eyes wide, ears ringing. Her heart felt like it would tear itself apart, fractured loyalties. Jackson shoved Caden back, gun still in his grip, chest heaving. "Don't you see? Earth can control this. They can weaponize it. That is the only way we survive," Caden snarled. Blood on his lip. "Weaponize it? They have been erasing us, Jackson. Every piece of truth they can't control, gone. You would hand them the power to erase entire civilizations." Aurora clutched the sphere's light as if it anchored her. Tears streaked her face. "This is not about Earth or Mars anymore. It is about whether humanity deserves to carry the past, or if we are nothing but a failed experiment." The Archivist's voice rose, reverberating in the collapsing chamber. Choice required. Correction imminent. The last transmission. The comm lit up again. Senator Whitman's voice barked through static. "Reed, secure the artifact, now. Destroy the others if you must. Humanity's survival depends on obedience." Jackson's hands shook. His finger hovered over the trigger, aimed at Elena. She met his eyes. Steady. "If survival means becoming slaves to fear, then we are already dead." For the first time, Jackson hesitated. The ship trembled violently, predators pounding at the barrier cracks, widening in the sky itself. Aurora whispered, almost a prayer, "Elena, what do we choose? Preservation." The sphere brightened, voices layered together, a chorus of every human language ever spoken, calling Elena's name. She stepped forward. For an instant she felt all of history rushing through her veins. Birth of stars, first fires lit on alien soil, screams of burning cities, whispers of children boarding ships in desperation. And through it all, one truth. Humanity was not born of Earth, but born of exile. Survivors, not natives. Refugees carrying fragments of forgotten light. Elena placed her hand on the sphere. Preserve us. The awakening. The chamber erupted in light. The predators screamed, their ships ripping apart like paper as the barrier flared outward. Energy cascaded across the Kuiper belt, freezing the attackers mid-motion, burning them into nothing but ash scattered across the void. The Nomad shook violently as the station's core pulsed one last time. Data streams poured into the archive. Fragments of forgotten light. Elena placed her hand on the sphere. Preserve us. The awakening. The chamber erupted in light. The predators screamed, their ships ripping apart like paper as the barrier flared outward. Energy cascaded across the Kuiper belt, freezing the attackers mid-motion, burning them into nothing but ash, scattered across the void. The Nomad shook violently as the station's core pulsed one last time. Data streams poured into the Archivist module. Every fragment of memory, every erased story, every buried truth flooding back into the network. Aurora collapsed, clutching her temples, sobbing with relief and terror. It is all coming back. Caden pulled her up, his face pale but resolute. Then Earth will know. Mars will know. Everyone will. Jackson stood frozen, gun lowered, horror in his eyes. You don't understand. You have doomed us all. If the predators know we survived. Elena turned to him, voice quiet but unyielding. They already knew. The only ones who didn't were us. The last archive. The station structure groaned, breaking apart. Elena shouted back to the ship. Now! They sprinted through collapsing corridors, shards of alien stone raining around them. The Nomad's docking bay loomed ahead, engines primed and burning. Jackson stumbled, but Caden caught his arm, dragging him aboard. Despite everything, for a moment, their eyes met. Not forgiveness, but a truce born of survival. The Nomad launched as the station imploded, collapsing inward, folding into itself, until only darkness remained, and then silence. Epilogue. The Return. Weeks later, Earth's skies were no longer the same. Across the globe, statues reappeared where empty pedestals had stood. Forgotten languages returned to the tongues of children. Cities remembered wars they had once denied. The truth had returned, unstoppable. On Mars, banners flew, declaring independence not just of territory, but of memory. For the first time, humanity shared a history older than Earth itself. But with the knowledge came fear. The predators were real. They had burned other worlds. They would come again. On the deck of the Nomad, Elena stood at the viewport, staring out at the stars. Aurora worked quietly beside her, cataloging fragments of alien code. Caden sat with his weapon dismantled on the table, cleaning it in silence. And Jackson, scarred by betrayal, stripped of certainty, stood apart, staring at Earth below, haunted by the choice he had not made. Elena whispered, almost to herself, "We are the last archive and the first memory of what comes next."